Are you worried about the future of our soils, about the future of our environment if we do not adopt more regenerative practices? You mentioned a lot of this extraction of soils and feeding a lot of people certainly has consequences. Is regenerative agriculture the solution?
I think the regenerative agriculture, it gives me greater hope than any other path moving forward. And just some examples of things that I've seen on my land. But at the end of the day, what I've realized is Mother Nature's capacity for forgiveness is so much greater than our own species' capacity for destruction. And that gives me a lot of peace. Because we used to think that it would take 500 years. Science and academia was advocating 500 years to build an inch of topsoil. That's simply not true. There's pioneers in the space like Joel Salatin and Will Harris who have built 3-4 inches of topsoil in 10 years.
Oh,
That's insane.
wow.
So, like it's hard to wrap your head around, but it's almost like, we have like all these beautiful live oaks out here, and it can take 300-400 years for a live oak to really achieve just this phenomenal status. But what if I told you you could plant a seed and in 10 years that live oak would become a 400-year-old live oak? I mean, that is like the stretch of faith and the opportunity that Mother Nature gives us when we put those cycles back into operation. And so I think just as inspiring as it is for humans to really reclaim their own health and their own journey, overcome tremendous obstacles in the face of modern medicine, heal themselves through really fundamental basic things like food and lifestyle, the same applies to land. And so if you have hope in knowing all these stories of people that have changed their lives for the better, that is directly applicable to all of our landscapes with the right mindset.
Yeah. It's like, I love wordplay, and soil is so close to soul and humus is so close to human. And it's just this very cyclical interchange between the two. I guess one of the common pushbacks, or confusion points for people around regenerative agriculture is it's not scalable. Is that true? Is there any truth in this idea that regenerative agriculture is not scalable to, reverse what we're seeing?
Yeah, I think that narrative is absolutely being driven again by experts and by scientists that have conflicting interest. That, no surprise, is connected to the pharmaceutical agricultural industry. Yeah, and so the truth is, and the reality is that right now on our ranch that we've been managing for almost 7 years, we can raise 3 times more animals per acre than anyone else in our county.
Wow.
We have more wildlife than anyone else in our county. We have better water infiltration. We're springs are literally emerging out of rocks where water never was, or where water had been hundreds of years ago. And so for me to think about feeding the population, if I can take an acre of land and now make it 3 times more productive in 7 years, shit, that's a pretty good start. And I also think about when we have this conversation about feeding the population, I really think we begin to feed the global growing population when we learn how to feed ourselves in our community. And then we already figured it out from there on. It's replicable. So I don't think regenerative agriculture is about scale, like getting bigger. Each producer needs to get bigger enough to feed the world, but it's about contextually, how does everyone have more independence and freedom with their own food production?
Yeah. And it certainly starts with awareness, right? And choices and options. And I think because of the point you alluded to about the conflicts of interest and misaligned incentives, that this isn't going to be a top-down change. It's not going to come from big daddy government, big mommy farmer. They're not going to come save the day. It's a grassroots movement. And what would you say it would be like kind of a call to action for the consumer or the person that maybe, could start growing something? Like where could somebody start to even just kind of live this instead of just going to the store and buying the regular raised meats? Of course, you've got stuff on the shelves, which is supporting that. Is there anything people can continue to do in their own lives to just continue to step into more of this regenerative identity?
Yeah, I there's a bunch of powerful ways people can become more connected. I think that connection is the key. I think being in relationship with nature is where it begins. And so we've always advocated, like, if you're an omnivore, if you're a carnivore, the highest way that you can source your nutrition is to hunt it yourself or to produce it yourself. But the reality is that not everyone can do that. And so that's where companies like Force of Nature exist. We think there's better solutions. But I also think that, with industrial chemical agriculture, kind of like a standard way food is produced, we have such a huge disconnection with the source and what a farm or a ranch actually looks like. And so I think it's something like 2% of our population now is farmers and ranchers. The other 98% of the population has nothing to do with the production of their own food.
Wow.
Which is mind blowing. And then you look at that in another way, and it's like you poll people on how many folks have actually been to a ranch that they purchase food from. It's less than 1% of the population.
Wow.
And I think that disconnection, that lack of relationship, is the biggest driving force that's allowing this perpetual system, this dysfunctional system, to erode our civilization and erode our landscape. So it's being more aware, it's being more conscious, it's going out, meeting your farmer, shaking their hand, introducing yourself, but then also introducing yourself to the earth in whatever capacity you want. Go outside, get grounded, be quiet, talk to a tree, just touch it, feel it, breathe it in.
Hello friends, if you enjoyed that clip, then you can watch the entire thing by heading to this link over here, or you can find us wherever you find podcasts by searching Radical Health Radio. If there's value here, please hit that like button, let us know in a comment what your biggest takeaway was, and hit subscribe, support the show as we support you. We'll see you soon.